Hello, everyone. IAmPattyJack. I've got another developer interview. I'm really excited about this one because I've been binging XCOM 2 lately because the Long War 2 came out, and I just so happen to have John, one of the developers, with now Pavonis Entertainment, or is it Pavonis? How do you
Pavonis.
Pavonis Interactive? There we go. I got it right. I'm a real journalist, I swear.
The we named it after the constellation.
I didn't even know that was a constellation. I'm learning things already.
There
This
you,
is going great. All right,
there
so
you
you
go.
are the developer of Long War 2. If anyone isn't if they don't know exactly what the mod is about or what it is in general, could you just kind of go over a little bit about it just in case anyone who is watching might not know everything about it?
Sure. Long War Two is our mod. It's our version, our take on XCOM Two. Our team were the people behind the Long War mod for XCOM Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within a few years ago, and in late 2015, 2K reached out to us, let us know that XCOM 2 was in the offing, and it was going to be have a lot of mod support in it, and would we like to make some mods for them? And we said sure, and so we contracted with them. We formed a company, contracted with them, made the release day mods. For XCOM 2 available on day one for players. And then we had been planning it all along. We got to work on Long War 2, which was just released a couple of weeks ago. And we're delighted to have it out after having to work on it for so long and having to keep so many secrets about it, even when, as our fans were asking about it. So it is there now. It is, again, it's our it's a long war take, and what that means is a longer, more kind of granular and intense campaign experience of XCOM. We draw some inspiration from the original game in the '90s. And our own love of strategy games built around, difficult and meaningful choices.
So before you guys entered that official partnership when XCOM 2 came out, were you guys in contact with the developers after the original version of the mod came out?
Yeah, it was not from the start or anything. It was quite a while after the mod caught on. And Firaxis, Jake Solomon, and some other folks at Firaxis said some nice things about us, which is great. And then we started to talk with. And I should clarify, Firaxis makes XCOM. We work for 2K, which also owns Firaxis. We work we have contacts with Firaxis, and they helped us a lot with Long War 2. They also helped with Long War kind of late in the process, and the one of the main things to help us in particular with adding custom voice packs for the original Long War and turning over some unused lines from the voice actor behind the fan favorite character Van Dorn. So we were able to make a voice pack of that crazy guy and turn him into an actual character in the game that people could play and kill aliens with.
I love that. So the thing that Long War as kind of a mod series now is known for is making the XCOM experience even more unforgiving and even crazier. How difficult did you set out to make Long War 2? And I know from experience, I'm on my fourth playthrough now, so how difficult were you trying to make it, and how long do you think it's going to take? How many playthroughs for the average player to beat it?
Oh, that's hard to say. What difficulty were you playing on?
I started on veteran, got my ass handed to me, tried playing on rookie, and now I have like 1,000 dark events that I can't get rid of, so I'm considering trying again. But I've been playing on
Oh,
Iron Man mode, like
yeah.
consistently, so I might try to actually save scum. I don't know.
I mean, I think, and well, first I'll say balance is something we're observing, as the game has hit the public, and we intend to make adjustments based on feedback and that kind of thing. So, and it's funny you mentioned dark events because that's the issue du jour, as those got fixed in our first patch, and now people are hitting them, and we're trying to determine, if people are hitting them and it's just sort of this is hard, I got to figure this out, or if there really is some balance things we need to work on. So, in terms of the difficulty and how we calibrate it and that kind of thing, I think our goal is definitely, I mean, especially in the middle and lower difficulties, is to create something that's fair and beatable. We certainly, what we do though is throw a whole bunch of problems at you and throw a whole bunch of tools at you and make you kind of work out what works. And that's a little different than sort of scripting problems and solutions. We go, and so that means there is some kind of randomness in how things come at you and the problems you face. And our goal, the way I see my job, is to kind of shave off the roughest edges, and then so in the aggregate it's a fair campaign, even though you have one mission that's ridiculously unfair or something like that. And I think that's a little different than vanilla, and people are getting used to that. I think also we added a whole bunch of mechanics, the infiltration mechanic, and we could kind of tell which players actually went and read all the instructions we wrote up versus the ones who just dived in, and the ones who read the instructions kind of got a sense of how infiltration works and how it's a way to kind of manage your missions and difficulty. And then we see the ones who kind of bounce off the new mechanics where they send a full squad in on a mission that's labeled impregnable, and then they get destroyed. So it does, and it is set up this way. And that isn't to say there aren't ways we could improve the UI and that sort of thing, but it is set up to reward paying attention, learning from mistakes, developing your own strategies rather than have them kind of, laid out to you and that sort of thing. And that may go back to because my partner Rachel and I are old 80s and 90s gamers, where the games didn't really hold your hand very much. I mean, that's not to say we want people to come in and bounce off the difficulty and that kind of thing, but at the same time, we want to, reward learning and paying attention and that sort of thing, so that there are clues and breadcrumbs and that kind of thing, and developing your own knowledge of how to play the game within that is something we want to see, something we set out as a design goal.
So you mentioned that there was a bit more randomness than the vanilla version of XCOM. It almost kind of takes on sort of that roguelike element that we've seen in a lot of games over the last few years. Would you compare it to that at all?
In terms of sort of the degree of punishment and that sort of thing.
Just how everything can be, like, you can kind of understand, like, how missions are going to play out, but there can be that one time where just the randomness of the mechanics kind of screws you over or something like that. It's never quite completely 100% predictable.
Right. And, I mean, the way I look at, we kind of trying to use the RNG, but tame it. That allows for replayability, that allows for people to kind of generate their own narratives. One of the things I love reading is on Reddit, where people start, all these systems come together and people start applying a story to it, if that makes,
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
And it's great. And if something is heavily scripted, then we're sort of, forcing a single story on it, and with what Long War is, where it's a take, a riff on a game that's been out for a year and people have played it and they know, they know how to play it and all that. We need to mix it up, and so that's kind of how we do it. And the idea of balancing is I say we try to balance for a fair campaign. And not necessarily each individual mission or each individual problem is within some range of fair, but in the aggregate, it's fair. And that's, and that's, you go in and you change some values or something like that, and that has effects, way down the road.
I did have a mission the other day where I got it and then I had like -1 hours infiltration time. I was like, well, I'm not doing that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't go on that one either. They're
No,
supposed to
probably
stop at
not.
0. I should say we're also in a heavy bug fixing phase.
Mhm. Yeah, so
um,
on that topic, you're currently working on patches, one would assume, and everything. Do you have anything specific that you can talk about that's coming up with that?
well, I mean, right now, I mean, we got our first big patch out last weekend, and that was because we actually, when we submitted the game to 2K for kind of final review, that was back in December, and then we kept on working on it. So we kept and a whole nother month of development and UI fixing and balancing was just released last Saturday, so now we're seeing some interesting interactions, that players are having, and so we're trying to again saw off some of the nasty edges and things that are also maybe a little too strong, and primarily working on stability. There are we did a lot to the game in a lot of different places in a lot of different ways, and for some reason something like stun and mind control don't play together nice, and so that just takes time to figure out. That's the not very interesting part of what we're doing next. We are working on adding some more. It's not, I can't say there's going to be huge amounts of new content still coming, but one of the big thing we're working on is getting a new mission going, and it's we're calling it a smash and grab, where it's the soldiers go in, and there's little goodie boxes spread over a map, and each one of them contains some useful resources for XCOM. And it's not a timed mission specifically. It's got what the community kind of calls a soft timer, which means the longer you stay, the more dangerous it gets. Um, so we're hoping for kind of a press your luck mechanic, where you keep stealing stuff, and and try to escape before big, massive, nasty reinforcements come in to slaughter you all.
I mean, that's gonna happen regardless, but I love the idea. The way I
Yeah,
play it is always that, okay, I'm gonna take one more turn and then everything goes to hell and everyone dies. All my best soldiers every single time.
well, I'm sorry, they're dying for a good cause.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't help though, because I'm one of those people who names them all after people I know. So, I'm running out of friends that I can
Yeah,
name them after.
I have that problem. My kids are 7 and 4, and they like to come in and play with the character creator, and then I can't ever use them because they're named after my kids. And what am I going to do?
Yeah, that would
Uh,
be a little bit morbid, a little bit
yeah.
weird. All right,
Um,
so moving on a bit from XCOM 2, you
sure.
guys have started your own company now, and
Mm.
you started preliminary work on an entirely new game. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The game is called Terra Invicta, and we actually started talking about it before 2K came to us and said, "Hey, you want to make some mods for us?" And we said, "Sure." So we put that on the back burner because it was an opportunity for to work with a big company, develop content under the aegis of 2K. So we learned, because both my partner Rachel and I, we came from different industries, but we learned so much about the techniques and mechanics of game development. So this has been great. And so Terra Invicta, the kind of elevator pitch for it is a grand strategy alien invasion simulator. And if grand strategy triggers thoughts of paradox, you're thinking the right way. I mean, we're looking for kind of something more in the top down 4X realm, or grander than that. And the storyline is an alien invasion in the solar system starting today, and the player becomes sort of head of an ideology opposed to, trying to figure out what the aliens are up to, and kind of gathering resources and working the political situation on Earth to oppose the aliens. And there are other factions on Earth that have different goals and different thoughts about the aliens. Meanwhile, the aliens themselves are slowly building up towards taking over the Earth. So part of the setting is going to be is on Earth, and you're sort of, again, it's managing politics and armies and that sort of thing. Part of it is out in space. And so we're looking at the solar system as kind of strategic space to play in. And I don't know of a recent game that really has that. I mean, you've either got games like Civ that are on Earth, and then you've got 4X games like Stellaris, or Master of Orion, which are in the galaxy. We think the solar system is sort of an interesting middle ground to play in. And so we're going to have a real kind of try to do some real physics under the hood, make it absolutely approachable to players. So they just click where they want to go, and the game presents the sort of options and costs of that. But underneath that, where Jupiter is on July 20th and 2020 is going to be accurate. And so looking at sort of how to build a space economy, and ultimately, use that towards opposing these naughty alien invaders.
Well, I gotta say, that has piqued my interest. Of course, I love any game to do with, like, sci-fi, outer space, Stellaris, and everything, so I'm gonna be looking into that one personally. And while you guys are getting that all sorted out now, you're looking to kickstart it in the future. Any plans right now for when that's most likely gonna happen?
It's, I can't say with any certainty. I mean, our goal is, our main thing is supporting Long War II right now. Get that into a state we're happy with, and then we will start shifting our resources to getting some kind of, I guess, I don't know, proof of concept level stuff together. We've done, plenty of design work on Terra Invicta, and starting to work in the engine, developing in Unity, and get some of the core systems in place, working on things like solar system navigation, and hopefully, I mean, I guess I would hope a matter of months, that we have something to show, either the public in a crowdfunding, as well as to potential publishers. And I should say we are absolutely open to being picked up by a publisher, and developing with their support, and making sure we get out the best game we can possibly get.
Absolutely. Okay, so I've just got a couple more questions. These were viewer submissions from over on my Discord server. I was just like, hey guys, you got any questions for the developer? And they did. So that's nice. So here's a couple of varying degrees.
Why do you hate players so much?
Yeah.
Why do you keep my soldiers? Yeah.
Oh, exactly. It's all your fault, of course. Okay, the first one is from a user who's kind of an aspiring modder himself, and he asked, when you're developing the mod, did you work with the development tools and the constraints that were provided by the original game, or did you make your own software and development tools?
So for Long War, for EUEW, Enemy Unknown, Enemy Within, and when I say we, I mean mostly my partner Rachel and another modder, Alexander, did actually develop a programming tool that allowed us. It was basically a quick way to hex edit XCOM, and it was the only way to do it efficiently. That's actually out there for some people to play with, as well. And that was necessary for some of the big changes we made to XCOM EUEW. With XCOM 2, we worked largely within the toolkit provided with the game. Now, for the art, a lot of the art pieces were developed in with 3D modeling software and that sort of thing. that the pro artists use. So it was a mix there, but it was mostly with the toolkit.
Okay, so next question here is okay, this is kind of getting into like why are all my soldiers dying territory. They just asked specifically why was the graze mechanic changed? If you shoot someone with a shotgun at point blank, shouldn't only graze them, surely, right? Surely.
Well, the way we look at grazes is the graze mechanic in particular was, and we knew this would be controversial, which is why we gave you a slider bar to turn it off, is that a graze is an almost hit or an almost miss. And when you roll it up, that's where it happens. If and so it was a way to provide kind of more granularity and damage. So there wasn't a lot of it wasn't one-shotting constantly, and it also wasn't a soldier in Kevlar getting hit with plasma 9 times directly and somehow still surviving. I'm exaggerating a little bit there. But in terms of the sort of, I mean, the basis of that question is kind of a narrative piece in it, right? How did I miss a guy or only slightly hurt a guy when I'm right next to him with a shotgun? And that goes to what XCOM is and how you're sort of how you're taking a turn-based series of events, and then the sort of narrative that you would apply to it if it was real and everybody's moving around at the same time and shooting and dodging and that sort of thing. So some of that is in this sort of what's the word? The simplification or the turn-basification of combat, and so that's why you grazed him, is because something else was happening or something that wasn't quite that doesn't quite seem obvious when you have one guy run up to somebody else and point a shotgun at him.
Yeah, I mean anything can
That
happen,
makes sense,
right?
yeah. So it's a model, and it's things happening within a model. So the thing with the grazing is that it is still an addressable mechanic. The player can continue to stack aim. And if you get up to, I think it was 110 aim with our vanilla settings, then there's no chance of a graze, unless of course then they have the dodge and things like that. It's a more complicated mechanic. We think the way it plays out is really nice though. So to kind of keep sort of granularity in events and have the right amount of one-shotting and the right amount of soldiers taking minor hits and surviving and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I had one soldier that couldn't even graze the other day. She went on like I think 8 missions, managed to kill one person. She was a sniper.
Oh yeah.
She had like at least a 60% chance of hitting. Didn't hit a single thing. It was
RNG
insane.
RNG
Yeah,
clumping
then she
can be
died, and I was
nasty.
super happy because I could put someone else in my squad, and that was really good.
We did work on snipers in the last patch too, particularly the kind of the nest sniper, which is the non-mobile one who can sit there and pick people off. They were a little weak, and so we kind of buffed them in the last patch, and we're looking at ways to keeping them viable both early and late in the campaign. So right now they're better late than they are early, which to some degree is okay. I mean, we don't have to have everything be 100% balanced all the time, but we do want to create some, at the same time create interesting and choices for you all the way through.
Exactly. Okay, I've got one more viewer question here, which is what challenges come with the hype or people expecting something that's so good when you're developing it?
Oh, well, I sounds like there's a compliment in that question. So first, thanks for that. I think. I mean, it was hard for us to develop, particularly. I mean, we've been working on this for more than a year, and to do that largely silent. The original Long War was very much built, on community input. And all the players giving thoughts and that kind of thing, and then me reading all those and making the call on how to play it. And it was hard to do that. We had a small group of testers, and all people we'd played with, and come to value the opinions of from the original Long War, that were able to excuse me, give us the right steers and good steers on things that worked and didn't, and so it's once we announced, it's a lot of fun, being able to kind of release little bits and have people really interested in how different mechanics work and all that. And it's really encouraging that people pay that close attention. Now that it's out, it's we get a lot of encouragement just from the compliments from people saying they enjoy it. We also get a lot of encouragement from, like I mentioned, people posting stories and kind of giving the narrative, that goes along with this game. And my one of my favorite things to do is to read the like the strategy threads that pop up on Reddit, where it's people just having, not internet fighting, but actually having these great debates on how to address the different problems we throw at them. And a lot of times they come up with creative solutions that we didn't really occur to us, this way to interact and use different tools we give you. So I personally get a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment out of reading those.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. So I'm going to let you go now, but before we go, where can people go and find you or Pavonis, or where can they go? Where
Right.
can they go find all your stuff?
So our website's www.pavonisinteractive.com. We have a mailing list on there we would love people to sign up for, because that's how we're going to pimp our crowdfunding once we get there. And so we can let you know when we have something ready to go on our next projects. We can let them know. And then we're very active on our forums there, reading the feedback and interacting with our players to make the games the best they can be.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for joining me, John. I really appreciate it. Wonderful talk, wonderful interview.
All right. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Awesome, guys. I am PattyJack, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.